Local Outbreak with IPMNation.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. Matt Connarton from IPMNation.com here with you. We're going to dive right in as quickly as possible because I had the privilege of sitting down with Stephen Whittemore Collins, who is a songwriter, and he's finding some sudden and unexpected success, and we had a great conversation, and we talked for a long time. So I want to make sure we can get as much of this as we can in, because we're not going to fit the entire discussion into the show. It was a great conversation. We'll post the full interview online. But also our friend Gonzo, Michael Gonzalez, who is a visual artist, also sat in for the discussion and helped to interview Steve. But let's jump right in. Here's the first part of my interview with Stephen Whittemore Collins. Steve Collins is here. How are you, sir?
Hey, Matt. Great. It's nice to be here today.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And but you are known musically as Stephen Whittemore Collins for people looking for your music online.
That's correct. I have such a common name, it would be tough to find me. So luckily I have a unique middle name.
You do have a common name. I don't have that problem. Matt Connarton is a very unusual name. There's only one other Matt Connarton in the state of New Hampshire, and he's my uncle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You're in good company.
That's right. As you can see, my family, not terribly creative with naming people. But yeah, so we've got a couple of great songs we're going to play today. We're going to play this track, Grieving You, which is just really beautiful. And then we have another song that we'll play a little bit later, but we'll give this a listen, and then we'll come back and chat for a bit. How's that?
Sounds great. Thanks.
All right. So we'll go ahead and we'll play this. This is Grieving You by Stephen Whittemore Collins.
Every time I turn, I can see your face. Shadows changing on the wall. Sometimes when I wake, I can hear your voice fading away like a dream. Please don't go. Please stay with me tonight. Funny how it feels, I can disappear. I can never love again. Maybe we would fight, but I wish you knew how I long for just one more day. Please don't go. Please stay with me tonight. When I find you, I'll be alone. Will you guide me home? On my knees and praying, where are all the angels? Will you help me carry on? Always when I play, I will think of you. I still love you so much now. Sitting here all night, and I tell myself tomorrow I'll begin once again. Please don't go. Please stay with me tonight. When I find you, I'll be alone. Will you guide me home? On my knees I'm praying, where are all the angels? Will you help me carry on? Sitting here all night, and I I tell myself tomorrow I'll begin once again.
Local Outbreak with IPMNation.com.
This is Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. Here's more of my conversation, along with Gonzo, with Stephen Whittemore Collins. Wow, that is beautiful. Grieving You from Steve Collins.
Great, thanks, Matt. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, that's obviously that's not you singing.
I was going to say that isn't me singing or performing. There was much more talented people than I that were doing that. You know, it's an interesting story of how I met them.
Yeah. Well, you're getting some love in the Facebook live chat. Jenny is in there. She says, "Wow," in all caps. Shri T, who that's a new name in there, says, "Beautiful, sweet." Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
This is someone you know. Shri T also says, "Hey, Steve."
Yeah, I do. I do know who that is.
Oh, very good. Very good. Yeah.
For a long time.
So that is Grieving You. Stephen Whittemore Collins, if you're looking for him online. Tell us about the track.
Okay, sure. It's it's an interesting story. I'm not a musician by training or trade. I'm a guy that has feelings, like to write, like anybody.
Yeah.
In today's day and age, you don't necessarily need to do some of that stuff. So
yeah.
What had happened was I've taken classes, with Don Sani down in Nashville a bunch of times, through the years, and he showed me, some guitar, basically.
So who is this? He
was a teacher. I bought a guitar. They said, "Would you like some lessons?" They gave me his card.
Oh.
I gave him a call. I went in, and he showed me how to play some basic guitar and fingerpick, and I enjoyed it. And then I stopped playing. And then a couple years ago, maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago, and most people don't know it. Like my friends, I don't tell anybody. I don't feel I'm a great singer. I'm not particularly gifted, and and so 2 years ago, I was playing guitar. Even my wife doesn't hear a lot of it. I'll do it at night in privacy. And somebody called, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I decided to say, "Hey, I'm playing guitar." A friend, very good friend. And they said, "Can you send me something?" And for some reason, I said, "Sure." And, I sent it to them, and they were like, "Wow, this is really good." And I'm like, "Come on, you're serious," sort of thing, that whole not believing. And they like, "Send more." I'm like, "I don't have any more."
Yeah.
And so I sent more, and they said, this thing could be on the radio. It's really good. And I'm like, "Are you serious?" So I sent it to my brothers, and they're pretty honest.
Yeah.
And they said they had to listen to it a couple times. They didn't know it was me. So long story short is this friend happens to be in the entertainment business, and they have a family. So they had gotten out of it for a while, and they just got back into it. And they do some independent film productions and play productions and things like that. And so they were like, each time we spoke, our kids are the same age, we reconnected. And each time they spoke, they kept saying it. So I'm like, I can write them. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I can write them. And so she said, in the reconnecting, she talked about her brother Matt. And that he had passed away in the interim from the time we had spoken when we were younger, and we reconnected.
Yeah.
And he died from drug addiction.
Yeah.
Substance abuse. And she told me the story, and I get choked up even thinking about it. That it was starting off with painkillers and going through that track of like it takes a couple years before you even notice that something's happening.
Sure.
He's gregarious, smart, has a lot going for him. He's going places, and he got into that. Oh. And then, it progressed to different things. So,
how old was he? Do you know?
He was 32 when he passed.
Oh,
he was 19 when he started. So, and like his family, like his father, it's like, what do you do? Like after he passes, like, could I have done more? Should I have done less? Like, did I enable? Did I not do enough?
Yeah.
And everybody second guessing. What do I do?
Yeah.
And I also have people in my own life that, have suffered with addiction, and some, have passed, and some have made it and recovered, and now I'm helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
They've come out the other side, but when you see them go through it, you know them when they're young, and then they become almost like a wraith. They become like black tar, and the disease of self-centeredness, and people say, oh, it's their choice. But would anybody choose to lose your family, your friends, your job, your property, your health? And then the drug itself doesn't even satisfy you in the end. Like no logical person would ever do that.
Right.
And so it was a topic that resonated that I didn't even know. So that night it happened to be that I just picked up the guitar, and I usually don't have a melody or anything in my head. I just stopped playing, and then I listened to it later. So I did that night. And when I did it, I noticed that I just, I don't know if I imagined that he was there or what it was, but I basically was just a recorder where I played whatever the melody was and whatever the words were, and I went to bed, and I woke up the next day, and, I usually forget them right away.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and then, the next day I woke up, and I listened to it, and I was like, that actually didn't sound too bad, and so I cleaned it up some.
Yeah.
And I sent it to my friend. I hesitated because I didn't want to bring up pain or anything, and I sent it just on an iPhone. I don't have equipment or anything. It was just an iPhone recording, and I sent it to the friend, and the friend really got emotional, and it meant so much. And so she sent it to her father. He's been like a president of companies before and everything, and he broke down too. From what I understand, he's a decent man, and so I sent it to other people. And the ones that were recovering substance abuse felt like it was them, right? So it's a topic that everybody's lost somebody in life.
Oh, yeah.
And the difficulty of losing that, especially to suicide, drug addiction, anything. Anytime you lose somebody, it's like, how does it feel? And so the song wrote itself. I'd like to take credit for it, but it came from wherever.
Yeah.
And it elicited feelings of what it's like for any of us to continue going on with that pain.
I have to ask you too. Had you written anything prior to this?
Yes, just like I said, I'll make just like that. I'll sit at the guitar, I'll do it, and then it just gets lost.
It just kind of, okay.
Yeah, so it was just for pleasure. It wasn't for anybody. A couple siblings through the years, I'm like, hey, look at this. I didn't even know I could do it.
Yeah,
I'm like, hey, do you think this is any good? A couple, but I said, most people didn't even know that I do that.
Yeah.
So
this was the first time you actually wrote something that you were kind of serious about, and
yes, exactly. It was the reaction to it that I realized because I started sharing it more. Because I feel like, and I guess it isn't true, I feel like I sound like, a dog pretending to be a cat. You know what I mean? I don't feel my voice is that great, and I'm not super competent on the guitar, but I can do enough. And if the lyrics and melody are there, it's enough.
Yeah.
So this person, my friend who's in the industry, knows me and knew it was a matter of confidence.
Okay.
They called me up one day and they're like, would you? I talked to somebody that's a voice coach, and that's all you need is to go down. Your voice isn't that bad. You just need to go.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. I just said yes, man. Right. All right. I'll see what happens. And I go down, and who is the person? But it's somebody named Cynthia Gibb, who is a person in show business. She's done movies and TV shows. And she was Karen Carpenter in the Karen Carpenter Story, and she was successful. So it's like, oh my God, I'm meeting with this person. And
did you not know until you got there?
She told me right before. Yes, I knew who it was, but I didn't know Cynthia. I didn't look her up before I went.
Yeah.
I just, she was somebody. She was in a soap opera. My friend kind of downplayed what she was in.
Okay.
It was after the fact, and after I met her, thank God, because I would have been even more intimidated. But
right.
She's a lovely person. She was so encouraging, and she helped me a lot. She taught me things. She told me things about my voice, and she was laughing because I understood everything she was saying, but I had no baseline to go on what was happening. So. So it was pretty funny. And so at the end, she said, okay, I left time for your song. So my friend had said that I'm a songwriter to her.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know any different, right? She doesn't know I'm a slouch on the couch, just a regular person doing this. And so it's like, okay, so I'm just going to go for it. And so I sang the song. And she wasn't critiquing the song. She was trying to help me to sing it.
Right.
But under her voice, I heard her say it, that was really beautiful, she said. And so, I'm sorry for the people on the radio that don't find it beautiful, but she did. And it encouraged me. So then my friend called me, And she's like, I'm doing a movie, and we have to do a track with a producer. And I met him, and I think you'll really like him. And his name was Larry Edoff, or is Larry Edoff.
Okay.
And she's like, I want you to call him and, just make up a couple songs and send it to him and see if he's willing. So I texted him. He said, sure, I'll send him. I'll take a listen. And he's like, I like that one, Grieving You, that you did. That's something we could work with. So I talked to my wife. She's very supportive too, but it's different because, she's always going to support me on things. So which is wonderful. But I'm hearing it from outside as well. So Larry, he's an amazing pianist. Like the spirit and the heart that he's able to give when he plays piano is unbelievable. And I heard that, and I was so impressed.
Yeah.
And so he put down a track of piano, and he sent it to me. And he doesn't know who I am either. I'm a regular musician as far as he's concerned. He knows, He knows now with this radio show.
Yeah, the secret's out.
And he had me practice singing. He's like, and this is right before COVID, and he says, I want you to come down, and we're going to have you put your voice over it. He's thinking I'm going to sing on it, and there's no way I'm going to do that.
Right,
and so I go down, and he lives in an area, forgive me, Larry, if you're here, I don't want to give up your identity and where you live, but he lives down near Westport, Connecticut, and it's a really beautiful area. It's stone walls and fields and hollows like the Headless Horseman, it's nice, and with really large gated homes and other things. So I'm going down in my Toyota, with a split window. My window had been cracked recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm going through, and I wasn't intimidated, but I was finding the irony of being up here, like the little mouse going into the city kind of thing, and he has all these real professionals, like amazing people.
Yeah.
And so I show up at the door, and Larry has a large home, and his neighbors do too, and later I've since found, like, that whole area has a lot of celebrities.
Oh,
it's like, producers for Pink and all these things. And I'm like, oh, man, what did I get into?
Yeah.
And before that, my friend had said, you really think I'm going to give you my contacts if you're going to embarrass me? So that helped me.
Right.
And so, so I went in, and Larry, we didn't have much time, and he put me at ease. He was such a friendly, nice person. And he took me in with my chewed up guitar. And he's like, go stand over here, just like here, with big oven mitts on my ears.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The big spit microphone and all the stuff like you see in the videos.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm standing there, and it's like I could freeze up, I don't even know. And he's like, all right, he's testing the system. He's like, sing a few things. I'm like, me.
Yeah.
And so I sounded like crap, and he hit a button, and in my ears I could hear my own voice, and I suddenly sounded like an angel. And I was like, all right, I could do this. So I sang the song.
Wow.
And he used that, basically. We established what we were going for. Mm-hmm. It had melody and lyrics. It needed production. And in Larry's heart, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
And so he organized it. He got the musicians. He got session musicians like Ben Butler. He's like done touring. With Sting and Paula Cole, I think, and other people. Okay. So he got real talented people to do this. Yeah. And he tried a lot of singers, like Adam Pascal. He was on Broadway, and other people that he used on it. But then he did one, there was a woman from American Idol, Marissa, who sang the song that we just heard.
Okay.
Marissa Pontecovo.
Okay.
And she sang the song, and when we heard it, we loved it. She, her feeling, her soul, it just... I haven't met her, but, hearing her talent and what she did, it was incredible, know. And so I get it. I meet with Larry. We talk more. We're getting to know each other. We're we became friends fast. And so the song, I was like, well, what do I do with it? And so, I decided to send it around to friends, right? Like, what does anybody do that's not a professional? You don't have an outlet.
Right.
And instead of saying it was me, because I'm not going to admit it until now, I said, hey, do you know who this artist is? To most of the people.
Yeah.
That way I could send it, and if they don't like it, I don't have to admit it, know?
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So, the response I got as I got these people, what I realized is that there's a lot of people grieving in life, especially as you get older, that, people lose their children, they lose a lot of people. And my friend that inspired the song, her brother and my other relations, that they were saying, like, that moved my grief. Mm-hmm. They didn't know it was me. And they were saying it made me cry. I had a huge percentage. I teared up during that. That was lovely, or the vocals, or Larry's, production of it, and Marissa's voice. And it was like, what do I really do with this? I don't really have anything to do with it. So COVID happened.
Yeah.
So, there was some possibilities going around at that time, but then everything got isolated and it kind of went in the can. So I have an acquaintance who, Rob Kleiner. I hope Rob doesn't mind I mention his name. He has done a lot of music work in New Hampshire. He had mentioned there was somebody, that sometimes features local artists. And so, I'm not looking for money. I'm not looking for fame. It was a song written from, from inside, an expression of feeling that it seemed to help people that listened to it. It definitely moved me and my friend and my wife and other people. And so I just wanted it to be heard, and if somebody's like going through like a funeral or a Facebook tribute or anything like that, it's not an anthem, but to be able to have something that you can play on top of photos or whatever, or you're struggling to know, like, in that moment of spirit, whatever it was, whoever it was, if it was me or not, I have no idea.
Yeah.
That, that they see, they understand, and we understand, and we're all going through that together.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Gonzo is here, by the way. Hello, Gonzo.
How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I heard that in the car.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, you sound like a girl, though.
I worked on that. They had to use a lot of tight instruments to get me to get that high.
No, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no, it truly is. And isn't it amazing, too? I was thinking about this while you were talking, and it started with you went and bought that guitar and you took some lessons. And then how long did you said you didn't play for a long time, right?
That's right. Yeah, I didn't. So I'd say 10 years maybe. I got the guitar. I played around with it for, a couple years, took lessons with Don.
Yeah.
Could never really master the bar chords. Most of it's open chords.
Yeah.
And so, and then I went to work and I got busy and I had a son and I didn't do it, but I my last company, it was sold and it was split up. So I found myself that I was in between jobs. So you're feeling moody at that time,
right, yeah.
And so I picked it up and I did it, and never, it was just one day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just coincidence. The person called on that day, and
it's so weird though how that can happen. How life just. It's so hard to articulate, but I do think about this kind of stuff, how, these things, these moments, these decisions that we make and the potential consequences of them that we have no idea in the moment. Like, obviously, when you bought that guitar and you signed up for those lessons and you had no idea that all these years later, you'd be at a vocal coach session with Cynthia Gibb, for example. You know what I mean? Like, when you really think about it and you think about all the steps that lead to what, this moment, it's kind of wild if you do. I don't know if you ever really do that. Like, I do that a lot. I'll think about, well, how did I get here? And then I think about everything that led to this moment. It's like, wow, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. There's a great speech by Steve Jobs. He did it. I don't know what college it was, Stanford. I don't remember. He gave a commencement speech, and he really put that into words where he said his whole life, like he audited. He's audited like a calligraphy class.
Yeah.
And what good is that, right? At that age, and he did all these things, but it was at the end of his life, or later in his life. For him, it was the end. But later in his life, it was only in hindsight that he could connect the dots at all these things, because word processing has that stuff, because he happened to audit that class and understood that technology and put it into the first Mac, which was then used in other word processing tools. So it is a funny phenomena how that happens.
Yeah.
It really is. Like you say, oh, if I could go back in time and switch that one thing I did, which is probably a really bad thing you did.
Right.
But you can't, because if you do that, then you wouldn't be married with your beautiful kid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Something could just alter it.
The butterfly effect, I think they call that.
Totally,
right?
man. Totally. Think about it. One change in anything. If I didn't come here today, and something different, my life would be different. It really would. I mean, I could get in a fender bender or something like that. You know,
Right,
you hear
right.
the 9/11 people like, man, this is the one day I ever called out sick. It's like, well, go figure. That's weird.
Right,
That's
right.
a weird coincidence.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's so strange. So what? So are there plans to, the song? It's very. I mean, it's got a cinematic feel. Are there plans for it to be used in a film or?
Well, that was the idea. It's not a customer. I don't have a customer or anything like that. But when Larry and I sat down and spoke, it's like, where would it most belong?
Yeah.
That was exactly the effect that he was trying to do, was to, make it possible to be able to sell that. There are people that buy that stuff. There was before COVID a lot of production going on.
Yeah.
Something like that could have a home in a place like that. So he would help put me in contact with people that you can get it in front of them for consideration and possibly to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
It's so cool seeing something like you said. You just haven't played in a while. You just kind of messing around, and now you're like legit knocking on the door to like upper elite level.
Oh yeah.
That was.
So if you have something out there, like it's never too late to just start something.
Right.
Start drawing. If you think you suck at drawing, good, because that's what sells now.
Gonzo's an artist.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it seems like you got some momentum, and I would just ride that wave as
Yeah, I'm like-
long and hard as possible.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like the Grandma Moses of music at my age now, right?
Yeah, I mean Susan Boyle, right? She started at like 50, and
Yeah. Well, in a lot of it is like partner. The good thing about being my age now is that with that sort of stuff, if you have something that's from the heart and it's not bad, life is about partnerships. A lot of times when you're young, you think, oh, I need to learn how to produce, I need to learn how to play guitar and write, and it's do it all yourself. And a lot of people that you hear the stories, they do that, but it's really, if you find partners where you're weak, I learned that in business.
Yeah.
You can achieve a lot of things like that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Very
And
well put.
you can't fake talent either. So it either shows or it doesn't.
Right.
And like no matter what level you think you're at, if you just put it out there, like you said, put it out there, send it to your critical brothers or whatever, and they'll tell you, you can't fake talent. No. You can't, because it's apparent that you're talented. So
Thank you.
it's cool.
It's interesting when you were talking too about sending the song to people, but not telling them it was you.
It's a good idea.
And I thought about, well, there's a sometimes in the music industry, there's been stories of like a label, maybe a band is trying to make a comeback or an artist is trying to make a comeback, and the label sends the music to radio stations under a fake name, so that because maybe the band has a certain stigma about them or whatnot, or they're considered old hat, so they'll send it under a fake name to kind of gauge the reaction, and then if they get a positive response, they'll say, okay, well, it's actually the new comeback song from Def Leppard or whoever.
Yeah, I am a coward.
No, but it's
Proudly.
No, it's smart though. I mean, that's the best focus group you could have, right? If you're sending it to people anonymously, like you have and pretending like you have no dog in the fight, and then you're getting an honest reaction from them.
And some people might sugarcoat a response if they know it's you and they don't want to hurt your feelings.
Oh, yeah.
If they hear it's Joe, Larry, Joe Blow or whatever, they're just gonna be like, yeah, it sucks, bro. It sucks.
Right.
And like kind of you need to hear that,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
otherwise they'd be like, oh, it's good. Like
Right.
They'll sugarcoat it. And I find that a lot where people tell me my stuff is good when really it's not. And if I went in as a stranger, they might say, well, I don't know, who is this guy? He sucks,
Right.
It's a good way to elicit a honest response.
Yeah.
Yeah, dishonest, honest response.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. Thanks.
So what's so you've got another song that we're going to play in a little bit, but do you have, are you like, what's the current trajectory of everything? Are you working on an album? Are you going to be recording more stuff? What do you,
There's really not, this is like, we were talking about connecting the dots. Like really it's just getting it out there, following that. Larry has a lot of connections and he's connecting it on that, but there's not a real project. It was more, the priority to me was, if it's here in your audience, I'm thrilled with that.
Yeah.
If it means something to anybody grieving, that's really where it's at. It doesn't, the money, fame, none of that matters. I just want it to be heard.
Right. And there's, of course, a lot of people grieving these days too with COVID. There's a lot of people. I mean, we just lost here. I didn't know him personally, but I felt like I did because I was so used to hearing his voice when he'd call into the morning show. A gentleman named Gary Tibbetts, who was a police officer in Manchester, and he had moved away to Florida, but he passed away from COVID-19.
Oh, wow.
Down in Florida, and it's it really. Gonzo? Did you know?
Yeah, I know it sucks, man.
You knew Gary?
Yeah, I mean, T was like my fave. I love Mr. Tibbetts, and Gary was his brother. I kind of knew him as that, and then from the morning show, you got to know him a little bit better. I wasn't like homies,
right?
But man, it sucked, and it was the first time that and I hate to say this in a weird way, but I can finally say to people, hey, this thing is real, dude. Not saying, oh, good, it happened, but let's make some good out of it happening.
Right.
Not like it's obviously not good. It's awful. But
no, but
why waste it, man? Go and make a point out of it.
I know what you're saying, though. So now when some smart ass says to you, well, do you know anyone who's died from it? You can say, well, yeah, actually, I have.
Yeah, like a buddy, a true blue manch guy.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're saying, yeah.
Local Outbreak with IPMNation.com.
Welcome back. It's Local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet and IPMNation.com. And here is more of my conversation with songwriter Stephen Whittemore Collins. So where can people get the song, Steve? Where should people go online to get it?
Well, I registered with CD Baby, and they put it onto all the music sites that there are, Spotify, etc. I also put it on YouTube, so it's free, to go there and get that.
Yeah.
That both songs that you're playing today are on there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And are you working on more in the short term? Or?
Yeah, yes. Now there's momentum with it Larry, Larry and I have developed a good relationship. Yeah. And he's found some singers. Like the next song is Robbie Rosen. He was also a finalist in American Idol.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All
so
right.
His voice is like, you could give a terrible song, it's like, Twinkle, not the Twinkle Twinkle's bad,
right.
But, he'll make it sound great. So,
yeah.
Now there's an avenue, only, and the rule is only if it's something that moves the heart, right? I mean, you can, how old am I? Am I really, going to do pop music and that sort of thing? Maybe I am, but it's like, if I get the feeling when I play it, and it's good, and the lyrics are good, and Larry likes it, and a couple other people that I trust in my life, if they all like it, then we just move forward with it, and we figure out after where it goes. If it's good, it's good.
Yeah.
It takes care of itself, like this one. There was no plan with this. It just was a bunch of steps. It just happened to be.
Oh, yeah. Well, and who knows? Maybe you will end up writing some pop music. I mean, because your age doesn't matter as far as writing. I mean, these pop superstars, they most of that stuff is not, they didn't write it themselves. And if you continue to move forward with your career as a professional songwriter, as you're doing, who knows? It's not
it is
outside the realm of possibility. Someday you'll be writing something for Kesha or somebody,
Well, that'd be something.
It is possible.
Yeah, I was gonna say Taylor, but she writes her own things.
Taylor Swift, yeah, she writes her own stuff, and maybe Kesha does too. I don't know, but
I mean, she does have Jack Antonoff help her out on a couple songs.
Sure, yeah. Shri T in the Facebook live chat said this song was both heartfelt and hopeful to me. A message that resonates with so many. That angel quality came through. Oh, that's very nice. Very nice. So tell us about this other track that we're going to play. You mentioned Who Sings It, Standing Before You is the name of the song. Anything else you want us to know about it?
That was also produced by Larry. He played the piano and bass. The first song, there was a lot of production. It was cinematic. This one was more just felt that it should be simple. Let the song and the voice and the instruments play for themselves. So the same thing. that it was just picked up the guitar. The melody just came out almost in full within 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And then the lyrics, the same thing. It's almost like It Isn't Me. It's weird. That the lyrics just started coming out, and I'm like laughing. I'm texting my friend, and as the lyrics are coming, I'm like, look at this. It's like, I don't feel like I'm writing this. And I was writing it all down, and it came out almost in total, both melody and lyrics. Again, I don't know what that is, like your subconscious or whatever that is. Yeah. And I didn't even know what it was about, and then it was I was busy with my family and, being a dad and working and everything and husband that I didn't get back to it for a couple days, and I turned it on and I'm like, this thing's complete. I didn't even realize it. And I didn't remember it either.
No kidding.
And so then the problem is that I'm not good enough to be able just to mimic something. So when I hear something I don't remember, it's like I have to learn how I played it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I sent it to the people that I sent it to, and they said the same thing. I sent it to Larry, and he's like, let's do it. He gave me the friend discount,
Yeah.
He's like, let's do it. And it's like, he's busy. And it's like, when he likes something, he drops it. And that night I had the piano down, and within a couple days, the whole thing was done. And Robbie, he's like, oh, this guy Robbie, he's a great singer. He's soulful. I'm like, Larry, one thing, I don't want anybody old. He's like, you call me a dinosaur on this thing, So he's like, I know a good young guy that does it. And and so he sang it, and I'm very happy. And it almost feels like bookends. I'm not sure what it's about exactly, but when I hear it, I hear, kind of, just unconditional love, kind of like from somebody, something beyond, that you're either somebody or not. I always hated the pretentiousness of an quote artist talking about their own stuff.
Yeah.
So I really hate that part. So your audience, I really don't know what it's about, but it just came out as it is. So take it for what it is.
Cool. We'll play this in a moment. And again, where should people go online? Because Stephen Whittemore Collins, that's your professional name, shall we say, as far as your music?
Yeah, when I did it on CD Baby, that's what I did, and I tried to put it so that the artists were in there, so people would know it wasn't me singing that.
Right, I noticed that. Yeah.
So there was one website that did it. It just shows my name, and I'm trying to get them to change that because I don't want to take false credit for a job that. I mean, this is their hard, their work. They did that, and so. But yes, it's Stephen Whittemore Collins. You could put in the Robbie Rosen or Marissa Pontecorvo or Larry Edoff, and one of those combinations will probably find it. It's on Spotify and a lot of other music services. YouTube, for sure. I've definitely seen it there.
Oh, yeah. By the way, our friend in the Facebook live chat, Bobby Champagne, says it's funny. I do a little writing for my own pleasure, and that's how it happens for me. All at once or nothing at all, it's a flowing of expression for some. Yeah,
definitely. That's how it is for me, and sometimes it's good, and a lot of times it isn't, and I once heard somewhere, you hear stuff through life, and they're saying the difference between a good poet and a bad is the bad one publishes everything, so if you do 1,000 songs and you just take the good ones, that's what you're remembered as, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Well, we'll give this a listen. Steve, thank you so much, and you're welcome to stick around afterward.
Sure. I'll just listen if that's okay.
Totally up to you.
Okay.
Should I leave your mic on in case you want to chime in on something?
Sure, that's fine.
All right, cool.
Great, thank you. It was nice meeting you, and thank you, everybody, for listening.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're going to stick around. Gonzo is here, too. And
don't say goodbye yet.
Standing Before You by Stephen Whittemore Collins.
When the night begins and you're standing there, if you call my name, I'll be on the wind, flying through the sky like a bird of prey. I'll be hard to see, but you know I'm there. Will you love me when the night comes? I'm standing before always you're my love. When the journey is done and you take that breath, I'll be there with you until the end. Now the time has come, face the setting sun, feel the rays come down upon the path. Will you love me when the night comes? I'm standing before you, my love. Always you're my love. You're my love. Open heaven's door, will you let me in? I'll be on my knees and not the same. When the water dries and your lips are stained, I will look at you, I am not ashamed. Will you love me when the night comes? I'm standing before you, my love. Always you're my love. You're my love. Oh.
Local Outbreak with IPMNation.com.
Welcome back to our final segment of this week's Local Outbreak on 100.1 The Planet and IPM Nation. And there's more. We had a very long conversation with songwriter Stephen Whittemore Collins and my friend Mike Gonzo Gonzalez, who is a visual artist. He was there as well. And so we've got a lot of audio left. We're not going to be able to include it all in this week's show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a little bit more of our conversation. And if you want to hear the entire thing, go to the website, ipmnation.com/local outbreak, where you'll be able to get access to the entire conversation. The whole thing is almost 2 hours. ipmnation.com/local outbreak. That is where we do archive all the shows, and you will be able to get the entire discussion that Gonzo and I had with Stephen Whittemore Collins. But so we're going to finish out this week's Local Outbreak here on the planet with just a little bit more. Maybe this will whet your appetite to want to go and listen to the entire thing. And it was really nice to meet Steve Collins and really enjoyed talking with him. Very, very talented guy. So here's a little bit more of our conversation with Steve to close out this week's Local Outbreak on IPM Nation and 100.1 The Planet. Steve Collins is here with us today. He is he'll probably be a little quiet, but feel free to chime in when you'd like.
Great, thanks.
You are at the news desk after all. It's a very important very important position. And we will now bring him in officially on the couch.
And excuse me because I forgot your name.
Steve.
Steve. All right, yeah. So what do you and feel free, we have no agenda here on the show except to get myself in personal trouble, which I do a lot, and to talk crap about, people and get our hair done and gossip. We do that. I could say anything right now, and the dump button won't be hit. Matt can't text and talk at the same time. It's great.
Gonzo, before you ask what you're going to ask Steve, I don't want to miss this. There's we got a message on the text line. Someone said, "Standing Before You could be great for Yellowstone TV series on Paramount with Western themes, live survival."
Okay.
Best of. I don't quite know what all of that means, but
that definitely had a cinematic feeling to it.
That's
too.
what they're saying. I think. Yeah.
It really was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, great! Thank you. Thank you for
honestly
both songs. Very cinematic. But yeah, go ahead, Gonzo. You were
well. How'd you guys get in touch with each other? That's what I wanted to know.
Oh, a mutual friend.
Cool.
A mutual friend connected us. Yeah.
Yep.
So seems like you don't really do this that often. You're kind of like a little nervous.
This was
so a little nervous, but on the political side, like I was telling Matt, I'm actually not super knowledgeable on the topic, so I just wanted to hang around and laugh, listen to you guys, on that.
As far as the music and the arts are concerned, own it, because a lot of people. What I've learned is when I go into something shy, it doesn't help as much as if I'm almost. You don't want to be a like overly confident. Like you don't want to come off wrong, especially with visual arts and stuff when I'm presenting and trying to sell stuff. But confidence is huge because no one's gonna buy into you if you don't buy into you. You know what I mean? Like I get it, and you get that persona down perfect. The shy songwriter, perfect. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I would say if it's great though, man.
I can't tell, like, when I do something, I really can't tell if it's good or not. I rely on other people
so
to tell me.
interesting to me because, like you said, you didn't really listen to music, and it's like,
yeah,
but you write music.
I know, it's weird. I know.
How do you know what note goes where then?
I
or
know.
Does that all feel?
It's all feeling, yeah. I took some guitar lessons, which helped. And,
that's even cooler then.
But yeah, like I haven't listened to the radio, and I don't know how long for in the car driving or anything. It's weird,
yeah.
but I don't want to be like sound pretentious. I mean, if the audience hates it, it sounds pretty funny, like, oh, the guy thinks he can write, but I honestly can't tell. Like it just happens.
But what's weird about it is it doesn't sound like you just started. It sounds like you're at a 9 out of 10 already. So how are you when you don't listen to the radio in the car and you don't really know scores and I'm sure you have a template of how to write a song and all that, but like it's crazy to hear it, and it sounds like you've been doing it for 20, 30 years. And I'm not just deriding you right here. I'm like I'm perplexed because it's like, how can you be polished and not know what you're doing?
I know this is going to sound silly, but when the Beatles anthology came out, I listened to the CDs, and they have a lot of back talk and the mics and stuff, and so you'd hear it. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, that's how that goes, and and then the rest is just feeling. And of course, having people that are professional, it's like I could never bring that out like that. They brought out their heart and they put their piece into it.
Oh yeah, you know what it's like, Matt? It's like in The Simpsons when the guy comes as Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
The white guy, he's like, I'm Michael Jackson.
Right.
It's like you got reincarnated as Phil Collins or something.
Right.
It's like I'm just going to step into this role now.
Yeah. But you're right. I am shy on it because it's not, like I said, I didn't even play for my
I bet you
wife.
hear this a lot, though. When you come in raw with the professionals, they almost prefer it than to unteach you bad habits. They can kind of mold you the way they want.
It could be. Larry's been great on teaching me different things.
Because you don't have to unlearn things. Like a lot of sales jobs, the salespeople will look for people who've never done sales in their life because they don't want to have to unteach you what the other sales manager taught you already.
Yeah.
Bad habits, because you can get stubborn. If they're like, well, try the D flat. You're like, no, it's C minor.
That's a really good point. That actually did come out. That for me, I look at it, the 15-second test. Like, you don't need to know anything about music. Did you want to shut it off after 15 seconds? Then throw the song out.
As a visual artist, that's called the thumbnail test.
Oh, okay.
So you can take a step back, and if you take 15 of my paintings and you put them all in tiny thumbnails, are you going to change to the next website right away? or are you interested? Because that.
Oh, wow.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. It's the same thing. I never heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it really is crazy. Like the attention span and everything. Like, yeah. I mean, a lot of people will just change it right away if it doesn't get you.
Yeah.
That's why they say like stand-up comedy, a comedy special, they'll start out with a banger right away.
Yeah.
And then they'll end with a banger, and then they'll get you, because people will literally hit the Netflix exit button on to the next,
Yeah.
That's the kind of world we live in.
Oh, interesting.
No one's like, I think I'll hear him out.
I know. I mean, I hate that myself, but that's why I'm scared. Like, if I can't tell what's good and not, luckily I have those people around me that have good taste. Like, I can't tell why one color, you're an artist, right? I can't tell you why two colors don't go together. Like, pink and orange. I don't know if those go together or not. I don't understand that. I don't know why that doesn't appeal. So I rely on others to tell me, they understand it and I don't.
Yeah.
Well, in my bio on my website, I literally wrote F the color wheel. I hate the color wheel. So I think pink and orange look great together.
Oh, all right.
But there are rules that people are following. Like, they will literally follow the color wheel by a T.
So what is the color wheel exactly?
The color wheel is like a pie graph. And, you'll have blue, you'll have your primaries, and then you'll have your secondaries. But then across from blue is like, I don't even know, but that's what matches up with blue. So magenta has to be matched up. And there's a couple like that really don't make sense, but I guess the rule of thumb is don't mess with the color wheel. But, color blocking and color clashing, that's what I like to do anyway. I like to who wants to conform.
Right, exactly. I mean, it seems like the whole point of art is to not conform. Not the
you
whole
would
point,
think that.
but
You would think. Well, the whole point of art is to to launder money.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh, that's the big time. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
If you're buying like a $3 million painting.
Okay.
You're basically just laundering money.
Oh, I gotcha.
You have your celebrity artists that could just take a poop on a canvas and sell it for X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what they wrote because they're celebrities. And then you have your middle grounds, and then you have your people who die trying to make it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Van Gogh died trying to make it. Did you know that?
Local Outbreak with IPMNation.com.